I know that I don't know enough to buy them without calling somebody.
You just bought those?
Yes, I did.
Didn't call anybody and spent over $3,800 on swords.
Really?
The old man, also known as Richard Harrison, was the star of the hit TV show Pawn Stars. He tragically passed away in 2018 after a long battle with Parkinson's disease. He left most of his valuables and business assets to his son, Rick Harrison, but was noted as cutting his other sons out of his will. When questioned about this, Corey, Richard's grandson, stated that he had not seen his uncle in over 20 years. The details about this are a bit scarce, and the family certainly isn't looking to comment on the situation publicly. However, it was seen as though Christopher, Rick's brother, disbanded from the family many years ago for one reason or another. While Chumlee doesn't appear to have been directly mentioned in Richard's will, he recalled Richard as being like family. Chumlee, whose real name is Austin Russell, spoke about Richard on Twitter, stating, "He was such a big part of my life and treated me like family. I will miss him greatly and carry the lessons he taught me throughout my life. You could always count on him to straighten you out or make you laugh, and both of those are things I need." After this post, many fans weighed in to express their condolences for the loss and to share their fond memories of Richard on Pawn Stars. Even though Chumlee didn't necessarily inherit anything after the old man's passing, he certainly does have many blessings in life, and Richard is to thank for most of them. Number 9. Since airing in the late 2000s, Pawn Stars has become the second most watched reality show in television history. It lost the #1 spot to Jersey Shore, but that certainly didn't stop the boys from giving it their all, and they mostly have Richard to thank. Yes, it was Rick who pitched the idea for a TV show to begin with, but Richard has always been the big man behind the operation. He opened the shop back in the late 1980s and helped to build it into the shop we know and love today. He began his pawn shop endeavor way back in 1981 though, when he opened up his first shop alongside his son. The shop was originally opened in a 300 square foot suite on the Las Vegas Boulevard, but by 1986 they had moved to a larger building on Fremont Street. Just a year later, he managed to acquire a license to buy and sell secondhand goods, but the company's lease expired in 1988. Because of this, Richard and Rick made the bold decision to upsize their operation once again, moving into the location where the shop can be found today. The building is located less than 2 miles from the main Las Vegas Strip and is the largest pawn shop in Las Vegas. The rest, as you know, is history. But Chumlee has Richard to thank for helping him to become one of the most widely recognized faces in America. Number 8. All of Chumlee's fame and fortune may seem great on the surface, but it comes at a cost that he also owes to Richard. Richard was always known in the show as the man that sat behind the counter and rarely ever got up for any reason. He would simply keep a watchful eye on the store's operations while the rest of the boys ran the shop. Because of this, believe it or not, the counter at which Richard sat has become quite popular. So much so that Chumlee, Rick, and Corey all had to move their desks elsewhere because fans of the show would not leave them alone. This grew to be such an issue that it began to have legal repercussions, as the show was violating privacy laws due to fans of the show taking pictures of the boys behind the counter. In the photos, there were often unsuspecting bystanders who did not wish to have their photos taken. This posed serious legal issues, and Chumlee and the gang can no longer work the front counter because of it. They have now been moved to office duty. Number 7. Chumlee also has a personal assistant, and again, Richard is to thank. The daily grind of Chumlee's job steadily became more than one person could handle. As he grew more famous, his job required a lot more time than he had to offer. To combat this, Richard and the company had to hire personal assistants for Chumlee and Corey. These assistants follow Chumlee around nearly everywhere he goes and helps him with daily activities to help save time and energy. Corey stated in an interview that he has his assistant empty the septic tank in his RV for him. He is an avid desert racer, and to keep up with his hobby, he travels around with a trailer RV. When the tank gets full, he used to be required to empty it himself, but now that he has an assistant by his side at all times, he no longer has to do the dirty work. Chumlee hasn't mentioned everything that his assistant helps out with, but we can certainly hope that he isn't used for emptying sewage. Having that task be a part of your daily routine can certainly take a toll on a person. Number 6. This entry isn't so much an inheritance, but more of misfortune on Chumlee's part. According to Corey, this was one of Chumlee's dumbest moves of all time, but he has Richard to thank for not firing him over the mistake. The incident happened well before the show was created, so there is unfortunately no video evidence to provide with the story. A man came into the shop looking to pawn an expensive upright bass. He was only asking $700, and the bass was worth considerably more than that, so the shop agreed and loaned him $700. Several weeks go by, and Chumlee is moving the bass to reach other products and leans the bass against the storage rack and walks away. While he was away, the bass slipped and fell and shattered into multiple pieces. Rather than contact the customer, report the situation, and offer to pay for it, Chumlee decided to pick up the pieces, place them in a box, and label the box as the pawned item. The man returned to the shop several weeks later to retrieve his bass. Corey was helping the man, went to the back of the shop and brought out the box. Unaware of the situation that had taken place inside the box, Corey hands the box over to the man and requests payment. The man is confused as he pawned a bass, but is now having a box returned to him. He opened up the box and found that his bass had been shattered into 1,000 pieces. According to Corey, the man began to freak out, obviously extremely angry about what had taken place. Corey states that the man pawned the bass for $700, but it ended up costing the shop $20,000 to replace it because it was so rare and valuable. Chumlee was questioned about the incident, but simply stated that he didn't know what he was thinking. This was more than just a slight mistake. This was a major goof on Chumlee's part and could have cost him his job at the shop. Number 5. Chumlee has done many stupid stunts throughout the years, but he has Richard to thank for a scar that he now has on his upper arm. The store had just recently purchased a blunderbuss. These are highly valuable guns that have been used to fire various projectiles and were used in many historic wars across the world. Many consider these guns to be an ancient variation of a shotgun, as they are meant to be used exclusively for short-range combat and lack any form of long-range accuracy. The shop purchased one of these guns for display purposes, but the old man allowed Chumlee to fire it before placing it in a glass case. Chumlee accepted the opportunity and took the gun to a range to fire it. He shot a single round, and the gun shot fire and smoke up to Corey's arm and burned him. This is likely to be a moment that Chumlee won't soon forget. Number 4. Several years ago, Chumlee was given the opportunity of a lifetime. Jon Bon Jovi invited the guys to attend a concert and provided them with front row tickets, with Chumlee being able to tag along. Jon Bon Jovi is the lead singer of one of the most popular rock bands of all time, Bon Jovi. The band debuted their first album in 1984 and managed to top the charts with their hit single, Runaway. After this, they continued to sell tens of millions of albums throughout the 80s and 90s, and are still quite successful today, playing sold-out tours almost every year. They have won countless awards over the years and released several #1 singles, but Jon Bon Jovi decided that he wanted to meet the stars of Pawn Stars and invited them backstage to meet his family and children as well. The guys accepted the offer, with Chumlee stating, "We went to his meet and greet to meet his kids because they wanted a picture with us. He gave us front row tickets. That was pretty cool. When does Bon Jovi personally invite you to his show?" Number 3. Another negative side effect of the fame that Richard helped bestow upon Chumlee is that he and his family have essentially been banned from garage sales nationwide. It has been reported that on numerous occasions, individuals have asked the guys to leave when they have attended yard sales. Many people who recognize them assume that they are going to try to negotiate their way into a deal or purchase something worth far more at a discounted rate. Rick specifically has taken the brunt of this on several occasions. He stated that he was once at a garage sale and saw a painting that he liked. He approached the woman and asked how much she wanted for it, but she picked the painting up, took it away, and said that it was not for sale. Rick was offended, but was understanding, considering the shrewd negotiator that he portrays on television. Number 2. Since being hired by the old man to work at the shop, Chumlee has also managed to purchase himself several nice sports cars and other vehicles that he uses to putt around town daily. Before his appearances on the show, Chumlee was usually seen wearing common clothing and driving common boring cars. However, after the show's premiere, he was quickly able to turn in his rags in exchange for riches. One of his most recognizable rides is a Maserati, which he purchased at a local car dealership. Chumlee says that he used the negotiation skills he learned from the old man to haggle his way into a $100,000 car, only paying $85,000 for it. So even though the old man may not have gifted the car to him, he certainly taught him some valuable skills and saved him over $15,000. Number 1. Finally, Chumlee has inherited some of the best memories of his life from the old man. Even though Chumlee, also known as Austin Russell, has had numerous run-ins with the law over the years and made countless mistakes throughout his time at the shop, the old man has been extremely forgiving and understanding of Chumlee's life experience and has always welcomed him back into the shop with open arms. The old man definitely seemed to have had a soft spot for the young man and made sure to keep him under his wing for the duration of his time here on Earth.